Now, brothers, in closing, I want you to take this pledge. When I say I want you to say I, and I'll say your name. I know that there's so many names, but I want you to shout your name out so that the ancestors can hear it. Take this pledge with me. Say with me, please. I say your name. Pledge that from this day forward, I will strive to love my brother as I love myself. I say your name. From this day forward, will strive to improve myself spiritually, morally, mentally, socially, politically, and economically, for the benefit of myself, my family, and my people. I say your name. Pledge that I will strive to build business, build houses, build hospitals, build factories, and enter into international trade for the good of myself, my family, and my people. I say your name. Pledge that from this day forward, I will never raise my hand with a knife or a gun to beat, cut, or shoot any member of my family or any human being except in self-defense. I say your name. Pledge from this day forward, I will never abuse my wife by striking her, disrespecting her, for she is the mother of my children and the producer of my future. I say your name. Pledge that from this day forward, I will never engage in the abuse of children, little boys or little girls, for sexual gratification. But I will let them grow in peace to be strong men and women for the future of our people. I say your name. Will never again use the B word to describe any female, but particularly my own black sister. I say your name. Pledge from this day forward that I will not poison my body with drugs or that which is destructive to my health and my well-being. I say your name. Pledge from this day forward, I will support black newspapers, black radio, black television. I will support black artists who clean up their acts to show respect for themselves and respect for their people and respect for the ears of the human family. I
everything you see exists together in a delicate balance. While others search for what they can take, a true king searches for what he can give.
To make a man, it takes courage, patience, skill, and most of all, love. Welcome to Vision for Young Men, the show designed to help you be the best man you can be. Now here is my dad, Alonzo Richard.
Good Wednesday evening and welcome to Vision. I'm your host, Alonzo Richard Fleming Jr., and I welcome you here this evening for this program that we're going to do today. I got a lot of people asking me about this subject that we're going to take on today. The subject is the process for breaking destructive soul ties. Now, I want you to get somebody and tell them to tune in to this program. We're coming on YouTube, we're coming on Facebook, and I think I'm still on Twitter. But I want you to join in the program today and tell somebody to tune in to the show. So as I said, we're dealing to this evening with breaking destructive soul ties and principles for breaking destructive soul ties. It's been a pretty rough week, but I used this week and the things that went on in my life this week as practice for self-development. And you know, when it talks about that all things, for we know that all things work together for the good to them that love God, and then that are called according to his grace. The time to practice it is when things occur that may make you think that all things are against you. And so I took this opportunity this week. I had a pretty rough week, and it's only hump day. Oh my God, we still got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but who says we're going to make it to Sunday? Speaking of Sunday, you want to tune in to Sunday school because this lecture that I'm going to be doing on Sunday, it's entitled The Manifestation of the Sons of God. The Manifestation of the Sons of God. You don't want to miss Sunday school at 9:45 a.m. every Sunday on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. We're broadcasting on all three of those places. This Sunday, the manifestation of the sons of God, as you see this world closing down, another world is rising. Some of you all do not believe that that is occurring. I'm here to share with you that it is occurring. And it's difficult because to believe it because, you know, when we go through things, we think that everything is going to be the way it was yesterday. So tune in for Sunday school, 9:45 Sunday morning, the manifestations of the sons of God. We're going to be reading out of Romans chapter 8, by the way. If you want to jump in on that beforehand and get a jump on the Sunday school lesson, I'm going to be coming out of Romans chapter 8 in the Bible. And speaking of the Bible, I did get a question regarding that. And I haven't been able to get to my questions because, like I said, there's so many things been going on that, you know, I've been trying to keep up and juggle. I'm becoming a really good juggler. School has started back. Got to tell you this. We were supposed to start this week. I got to put it off to next week with the tutoring online. We're going to start next Monday. We're going to deal with how to study mathematics and science. I'm here to tell you that there is a methodology in the study of it. If you're having difficulty, if you have a child, a young person that's in school, free, I'm going to show you online the process of the study of mathematics, how to study it efficiently and accurately. So we're going to be Monday instead of Friday. I just got to take a break. It's been a pretty long week. But anyway, tonight's vision program, I want to thank everybody who is joining in for the first time. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. Hold on. Let me give you a little gift here today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the Vision Show. I'm getting a lot of people that are interested in this, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised. Because I was, I'm thinking like, who want to hear this stuff, this scientific spirituality stuff? Turns out a lot of people do. And I learn by teaching. It's the way I learn how to put into practice the things that I believe, by teaching it. My mom used to say to me when I was a kid, the teacher learns twice. The first time when he reads it and the second time when he teaches it. That's what my mother used to say. So as you see this world shutting down, the rules that will govern the rising world have to be articulated. And our subject today is concerning soul ties. And soul ties have to be broken. And we're going to get into it this evening. And I think you're really going to be interested in the take that I have on this. There's a lot of information out there about soul ties, but what we're going to talk about is describe what a soul tie is, a destructive soul tie is, how a soul tie is formulated, and how definite ways on how to rid it or break the soul tie. So this has to be articulated, and there's a process to it because of the nature of the human being. We are not natural separatists. We are naturally communal and interdependent. This is a natural tendency of the human species. And so because we are high on the food chain, if you will, as far as we know, but we could be on the bottom of it, but think we're on the top. But that's another story. We develop these connections, and some of these connections are addictive. And the difference between a connection and an addiction is a connection you're able to dissolve easier than an addiction. An addiction is destructive to you. A connection can be destructive or not destructive, but an addiction is always destructive. So I'm saying that a soul tie is something that is addictive. And if we are going to develop ourselves and our children and a society that is healthy for us, then we have to go through the process of breaking the destructive soul ties. And there is a process of breaking those soul ties. So just because you are in a relationship that is tough does not necessarily mean you have a soul tie. I am defining a soul tie as something that's destructive, even though a soul tie can be constructive and very healthy. But in this talk today, I'm defining it as something that is destructive. And the opposite of a soul tie is a love relationship. The difference between a soul tie and the destructiveness of a soul tie and the other connection is a love relationship. Just because you have a relationship that is tough or that may develop slowly or may have rocky roads or may have difficulty does not necessarily mean you are in a soul tie. And like I said, when I say soul tie, I'm talking about a destructive relationship, even though I know you can have a soul tie that is constructive. But the difference we're going to call it is a love relationship. So we can, for purposes of this talk, we're going to call a soul tie destructive and a love relationship as healthy. Just because you have a difficult relationship does not necessarily mean you are in a soul tie. You are in, all relationships are for your benefit. The Course in Miracles, by the way, goes into that. And you may have a difficult time understanding how all relationships are for your benefit. Even a soul tie is for your benefit. And you may ask, well, Dr. Fleming, how in God's name are you calling a soul tie destructive and say that a soul tie is for your benefit? Now, you Bible thumpers, and I know a lot of us pay attention to the Bible. We talk and preach and read the Bible and believe the Bible. So just using the Bible, all things work together for your good. So now if I say that all relationships are for your good, even a soul tie, then it might get you closer to where we're going with this and how to break the soul tie, because it comes to you because of your own beckoning. It is not a situation that takes your soul by surprise, nor is a soul tie a situation that takes God or the all or the great mind or Yahweh or Jehovah or Allah, whatever name you use for God, it does not take that entity by surprise, nor does it take your soul by surprise. Because we have not been taught how to think, and we have been given indoctrination instead of education, we do not realize, many of us, the power of our own minds. And we think that things take us by surprise. Now, going back to that point, just because, let me open up the chat just in case somebody come in here and want to put some, let's see, there it is. If you want to come into the StreamYard chat room, you can, I'm sure there's a link there. Now, I just opened up the chat room just in case. Just because you have a difficult relationship does not mean you have a soul tie. It could be a love relationship, but it is difficult because you're working through your projections to experience, or you're working through pulling down the blocks to love. Love is always there. Love is ever present. It never goes away. It doesn't disappear. It is always there. But the reason we don't experience love and our children don't see love is because of all the blocks to love. So our task is not to find love, because love is ever present. You, in fact, are love. You are designed out of love. Your very essence is love. Everybody, all of you that's in this audience, listen to me. Your essence is love. God is love. And if God created you, then he could only create you. She could only create you out of her own essence. And therefore, you must be of the same substance as God, which is love. So love is ever present because we say God is omnipresent. There's no place where God is not. Therefore, love is everywhere. So why is it that we don't experience love in certain relationships. And I'm talking about relationships between men and women, males and females. Love is love, but I'm specifically dealing with those of us in my age group. Those of us who have had marriages, have had children, have had relationships and have bonded with people, and those relationships no longer are working, or those of us who are of this age group who are maybe out of a relationship but can't get past the relationship for certain reasons. The key to love is not to find it. The key to love, ladies and gentlemen, the key to experiencing love, brothers and sisters, is to remove the blocks to your awareness of love. Love is always present, but we are not aware of it. And soul ties is one of the major blocks among us, because again, we have not been taught how to have love relationships, because our entire education, entire religious doctrine, entire governmental relationship with every single institution in this country has been based on lies to our mind. And therefore, a lie is a block to love. Preach, Dr. Fleming. Tell them anyway. I'm about to get busy here. Now, relationships that I'm talking about, that I'm hoping that we can all move to, this can of worms has been opened up by T.D. Jakes and a lot of the passport brothers. The passport brothers are those men, black men, who have decided to go to other countries and try to find mates. And then there are ladies who are doing something similar to that. But this can of worms have been opened up by these people. Kevin Samuels, who just recently passed, opened this can of worms up. And this can of worms has exposed our difficulty and all the blocks that we as a people have developed and raised up against one another, to where we have been unable to develop love relationships because we have too many soul ties. So let me briefly talk a little bit about the best type of relationship. Yes, I'm qualified to teach this, in case you got some doubts. My qualifications for teaching this is from a spiritual contemplation and listening to spirit. And that's what qualifies me. And my spirit is connecting with your spirit, and it's testifying to you that I'm telling you the truth. That's what qualifies me. So relationships are the basis of a happy life, of happy living. You are not an island to yourself. I'm sorry, ladies. You are not no strong, independent black woman. There is no such thing. You are interdependent. We are made that way. This independent idea is something that has been handed down through the process of slavery. Nobody else on planet Earth, except those who have gone through a slave experience, are so separated to where the women think that they are independent and the men think that they are dogs. We're the only ones, because we're not special, but we have been through an experience that has developed our DNA to keep us separate by keeping those blocks to love erected in our minds. So the best relationships are based on mutual benefit, not your benefit to the exclusion of mine, nor my benefit to the exclusion of yours, but mutual benefit. The best relationships are based on mutual respect. That you respect me whether or not I respect you. I respect you whether or not you respect me. Because I'm respecting the God. And as a result of this respect, regardless of the others, it is self-respect that you're actually giving. So mutual respect, mutual benefit we should get out of the relationship mutually. And it's the basis of happy living. And then the third thing is mutual agreement. That we agree, and there's a book called The Four Agreements. And one of the four agreements, the first one is make your word impeccable. So if you agree to be in a relationship, then be in that relationship. And if you don't want to be in that relationship, then remove yourself out of that relationship. If you don't, it's because there may be a soul tie in it to where you realize you're in a destructive situation, but you can't seem to break away from it. And the fourth thing that makes for a happy relationship is completeness between the two individuals that are in the relationship. Both individuals have to be complete within themselves. The way we are completed, ladies and gentlemen, is to become in touch with the God part of us. Not independent, but complete. When you are complete in him. Now, those of us who study the Metuneta and African philosophy, what I'm saying is coming from that. You read the Metuneta, you will read what they wrote in the Bible. You will see the concepts and principles laid out in there. And you say, well, they stole it from us. To that, I say, if someone steals something from you, do you lose the right to it because they stole it? You catch them 1,000 years later and you see the stuff that they stole. Do you lose the right to that? So if you're saying that's what's in the Bible and what's in the Course in Miracles, which I say are all principles and concepts coming from ancient Nubia, I say that, then I can read A Course in Miracles and I can study the Bible, and I'm studying African philosophy. You don't lose ownership just because somebody takes something from you and claim it as their own. Maybe you wasn't using it. You know, there's a philosophy, African philosophy, that says to him that has shall be given. From him that has not, that which he thinks he has shall be taken. Which shows you the principles of abundance and lack that is in the mind. You notice when you have money, you get money. When you don't have money, money is hard to come by. To him that has shall be given. From him that has not shall be taken. These are principles of mentalism. They are in the Bible. They are in the Course in Miracles. They're in the Metuneta. They're in the Quran. I don't care what book you read. You will discover this. Now, let me get back on point. Being complete, you have to be complete, which means you have touched the face of Christ in yourself. The face of Christ is when you say amen in church, because I feel like I'm talking to somebody that needs to hear it this way. I know that we're talking about Amen Ra. I know that. So relax. Relax. Those of you who thinking that we're studying European history, I know what I'm talking about when I say Amen. Now, when I say you are complete in him, I know that Horus was several thousand years before Jesus. I know that. So relax when I quote the Bible. And for those of you who have a problem with me quoting African philosophy and attributing it to Jesus, let me help you a little bit. In the book of Acts, and be patient with me this evening, because I'm feeling that I need to lay this foundation. In the book of Acts, there is a scripture where Paul comes upon these people who are worshiping the unknown God. And Paul says to them, he takes this opportunity and says, okay, I'm going to give this God a name for them. And I'm going to tell them that this unknown God is the God I represent. So I'm going to help you to know him. This is in the book of Acts. And then he says these words, that he needs not tents, talking about God, he needs not tents made with the hands of man, for in him we live, we move, and have our being. Paul quotes this, and it's in the Bible. But this is what you miss, preacher. As your prophets have said. So Paul quotes their prophets by saying, in him we live, we move, and have our being. He's quoting the pagan prophets, and you got it in the Bible like it's scripture, like it's the word of God. But this is a pagan prophet that Paul is quoting. In him we move, we live, and have our being, as your prophets have said. That's in the Bible. And you call that the word of God. So you see that we're sharing knowledge, and we're evolving. Nobody has a monopoly on God. Nobody. So going back to, I just needed to say that, the completeness between the individuals. So if you are in a relationship and you are not complete, then the relationship will turn towards helping you to become complete in him. And this is how we say that it all works together for the good. So you might be saying, I got to get out of this relationship. No, you ain't got to get out of the relationship. The relationship must be redefined. It's got to be redefined because there's something in you that's got to grow so you can become complete. There is something that is being removed, a block that's in you, so you can't see love being removed. That's all that's happening. But if you resist the purpose of the relationship, it degenerates and disintegrates into a soul tie. And a soul tie is destructive. It's destructive because you're not yielding yourself to the purpose of the relationship. I got a friend that does that doesn't know it's happening. I want to read a portion of A Course in Miracles. Y'all getting taught today. I know you go to church on Sunday, but when we finish here today, you're going to have an exercise that's going to snap the soul tie. But once the soul tie is snapped, this exercise that I'm going to give you at the end of this talk will have the power to snap the soul tie instantly. But once you snap the soul tie, you got to stay with it. You cannot go back to it. You will be able to know in your mind that this soul tie has been snapped. But you will still have the freedom to go back to the soul tie. This is what you're going to have at the end of this talk today. So Get somebody and tell them y'all need to listen to this brother tonight. I'm going to read to set you up out of A Course in Miracles. Get A Course in Miracles. Everybody has to take this course. Jesus took the Course in Miracles. How do you think he performed miracles? He took a course in miracles. The only choice you have about A Course in Miracles is when you're going to take it. But everybody has to take it. You can find this out in the first chapter of the book of St. John, where it says that the same light that was in Jesus is the same light that lights every man that comes into the world. Jesus said, you are the light of the world. As long as I was in the world, I was the light. But now you are the light of the world. He said, the things that I do, you will do greater. What in the world y'all doing worshiping a man that you doing greater than? What's the greatest thing that Jesus did? I know I'm shocking some of y'all. But Jesus said, the things that I do, you do greater because you go to the Father. If I ask you, what's the greatest thing, Christian preacher, Christian woman, Christian man, what's the greatest thing that you say Jesus did for you? What's the greatest thing? Answer the question in your mind. I would suspect that you would say that the greatest thing Jesus did for you was die for your sins. Now, Jesus said, the one who you say died for your sins said that the things that I do, you will do greater. So what's greater? That's what you got to do. The way you will discover that is by removing the blocks to love. So now let me read from A Course in Miracles. Stay with me here to set you up with what we're going to be dealing with, because it's going to be some hard stuff. The course in the 16th chapter and around the 4th section is entitled The Illusion and the Reality of Love. And it says, be not afraid to look upon the special hate relationship, for freedom lies in looking at it. It would be impossible not to know the meaning of love except for this. In other words, if we wasn't looking at hate, we would know the meaning of love. For the special love relationship in which the meaning of love is hidden is undertaken solely to offset the hate, but not to let it go. Your salvation will rise clearly. In other words, love will rise clearly before your open eyes as you look on this. In other words, we got to look at it. We can't turn a blind eye to it. The special love relationship will not offset it, but will merely drive it underground and out of sight. It is essential to bring it into sight and to make no attempt to hide it. For it is the attempt to balance hate with love that makes love meaningless to you. The extent of the split that lies in this, you do not realize. And until you do, the split will remain unrecognized, therefore unhealed. Now, what does that mean, all of that high language? See, the split mind is such that we see the good in us, and then we think we see evil in us. And in order to offset the evil, we come into these special love relationships, and they are called soul ties. These special love relationships are meant to try to offset and press down the hate that's in us from bonding in destructive ways with individuals. We can bond with them sexually. We can bond with them in the sense of an argumentative relationship. And we can bond with them by projecting onto them the hate that's in us, or the fault or the sin that's in us. We project it onto that person, not realizing that that projection onto that other person of what's in us is strengthening the hate that's in us and the lack that's in ourselves. It is not whatever you see, and this is difficult to hear. Whatever you see in another person is first in yourself, or at least you see it in yourself. So when you find yourself projecting onto a person and constantly seeing the fault of another person and constantly trying to correct another person, then what's happening is that we're really seeing the fault in ourselves, correcting our own self. This is what we're really trying to do. We're correcting our own selves. And it's really, this projecting is really an attempt to correct ourselves by getting rid of the sin that we think we see in ourselves and putting it on another person. Because we see it in the other person, and it's called projection. Now let's look at projection for a minute, real quick. Think in terms of a movie screen. You go to the movies, you pay your $15, $20 or whatever it costs, and you buy your $30 box of popcorn. You get 4 or 5 kernels in that box. Put a lot of butter on it. You make you think you got a lot of popcorn. You go to the movie theater and you sit in there and you're looking at this screen. And the movie comes on and you think the movie is on the screen. But in reality, the movie is in the projector behind the screen. There is a projector putting what's in itself onto the screen, and you think that the movie is on the screen, but at all times the movie is in the projector. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is leave the projector on and move the screen over to the left or the right, and the movie will no longer be on the screen. Because the movie was not on the screen, but you believe that this movie was on the screen at all times until you start thinking about it. So what we see in another person is what we see in ourselves. And when we have a soul tie, we project. When we have a love relationship, we extend. Extension is sharing. Projection is imposing. So developing a soul tie comes in the form of sex, comes in the form of just physically based sex, comes in the form of projection, comes in the form of argumentative. If you got a man that's very argumentative or a woman that's very argumentative, she is developing a soul tie with you if you engage in that. And you're developing a soul tie with him if you engage in that. You don't necessarily have to come together physically, but you can come together on a level because your mind and your spirit and your chemistry, your bodily chemistry is all involved in that. And that chemical reaction, you know, they call it muscle memory. That chemical reaction in the body and in the mind will cause you to begin to develop a soul tie with that person based on fighting. And it's the same way based on sex. You can have sex with a person that is not into you, and that person, you'll be developing a connection, an unhealthy connection with that person, and that person is not developing the same level of connection with you. And you're developing a soul tie. And that is the illusion of love. The illusion of love is a soul tie because you are tied to the person based on thinking that if I do this, they're going to love me. If I do that, they're going to love me. And the more you do, the less they love you. Because it is a soul tie and not a love relationship. Now, you may have a relationship that you see the movement. Remember, that might be a tough relationship. But when you're seeing movement, it may be a reluctance rather than a soul tie. A fear, the person may be moving slower than you would like. Or you may be moving slower than the person would like, but the movement is there. It's a difference. We're going to do an exercise at the end of this. Well, I'm going to give you the exercise, and you're going to do it in private. To snap it, I've tried it. It works. I've given it to somebody. It works. This exercise. So a soul tie is a relationship that has created pain and a chemical dependence on another person's soul. And as I said, it's based on several things. It can come through sex, it can come through argumentation, it can come through projection. But it's not a mutual benefit, it's not a mutual respect, it's not a mutual agreement, and somebody in the situation or both persons are not complete in the relationship. And it causes a painful relationship. This doesn't have to be romantic either, but I'm not going to get into it between peoples. You can have soul ties between peoples, groups of people. Know this, that they're destructive. If you are having sex with a lot of individuals, and now you can be a polygamist, but that's another thing. That's a whole different social structure. I believe everybody in this audience, or most of, are monogamous. Polygamy is not wrong, but it has to be agreed upon. Monogamy is probably what those of us in the audience are about. If you have a polygamous relationship, if you have a polygamous behavior, but are in a monogamous agreement, you are developing soul ties. And they got to be broken. You don't try to break the polygamous relationship first. You break the soul tie first. You do the inward work, and the inward work will manifest outwardly. You cannot change a person's mind by changing his or her behavior. You change a person's mind, and the behavior will change the mind, or the thinking will change the behavior. Thinking changes behavior, not force. So a soul tie can be between an adult and a child. A soul tie can be between two children. A soul tie can be between two lovers. Remember, they are destructive. I'm not talking about love relationships. I'm talking about soul ties. Can be destructive. They can be between a man and a woman. They can be between children. They can be between two lovers. They can be between groups of people. And you can have soul ties between nations, planets, and races. When you have a soul tie, you are in a destructive relationship. Now, when you have a soul tie among a group of people, you will notice the destructiveness. This is because of projection. This is because of mistrust. And the soul ties have to be removed from the individuals, and then you will manifest a collectiveness, an agreement among that people, and a relationship, a love relationship among that people. No need to try to say shop black businesses. If in your mind, black businesses don't treat you right, you're going to hit and miss. And then finally, you're just going to give up. The first black business that don't do you right, You're not going to go to them and say, you know, you didn't do me right. You're going to stop going to all black businesses. That's the tendency. This is because you have a soul tie. That's the reason. And you actually look and expect for the black businessman to do you wrong. And when he don't do you wrong, you be quiet. But when he does do you wrong, you shout it from the rooftop. And see, that's why I don't go do business with black folk. They're just not going to do right. That's a soul tie from among us. This has come from slavery, and we have held on to this soul tie. And we have to attempt to get rid of this soul tie by changing behavior rather than changing our thinking. But A Course in Miracles help you change your thinking, and your behavior will follow. You know, they used to say in the 60s to free your mind and your butt will follow. So this is the soul tie among us as black people. So they can be between planets. They can be between universes. And you don't buy that argument because you don't realize the dimensions that of reality that exists. And they're getting a chance to peek into the heavens now through the James Webb Space Telescope. And they're getting a chance to peek into the heavens and look back in time to the beginning of the universe. There you'll find me. So you can have a breakup and you'll find one or more persons. Well, I'm going to give a personal experience. I'm going to give because like one preacher I heard, he said, I'm a free man. And I love that brother. He said, I'm a free man. I don't have to hide. So I'm going to give you a personal experience to help you to understand how this piece works. You can be in a relationship, say like a 16-year marriage, and the relationship breaks off for whatever reason. And you will try to replace, because everybody knows that there is an empty space created, developed when a breakup occurs. There's a space in your heart that appears to be empty. And all you want to do is fill that empty space. Now, some people will fill that empty space by becoming reclusive. Some people fill that empty space or try to fill that empty space by doing damage to themselves. They may become suicidal. Some people try to fill that empty space by crying. Some people try to fill that empty space by developing multiple relationships in an attempt to fill that space that appears to be empty. The last example of trying to fill it by having multiple relationships is the most dangerous way or the easiest way to develop soul ties, because you're trying to fill that empty space, and you can't fill that empty space because that spirit that housed that space is the only spirit that can fill that space. So it has to be healed rather than filled. You have to come to terms with the fact of what you experienced in that relationship was for your good, and even the breakup was for your good. And when you discover what the whole relationship was about, the relationship is never over. It's just reoriented. And so the hurt and the pain, when you go through the healing process, God doesn't take the love off the relationship. What God does is take the relationship, the thinking that you have about the relationship. He takes those thoughts when you give it to him. He purifies the thought by extracting the hate from the thought and then give the thought back to you. And you still have the memory without the energy of the soul tie. Now, so these are ways you develop soul ties. Having sex with multiple partners, looking for a special love relationship when one breaks up, or trying to find a relationship with multiple people, you will develop soul ties. And these are what's called special love relationships, and they have to be broken. And the only way you can break it is to look at it, as the Course in Miracles says. And the only thing that will scare you is the anticipation, is the feeling that you're going to be hurt more if you look at it. But I'm here to tell you, brothers and sisters, that when you look inward, where the devil, where the ego does not want you to look, you are made fearful to look inward, because the ego knows when you look inward, the devil knows when you look inward, you're going to see God in yourself. So what it does is put up a block of sin and fault and shame and projection to prevent you from looking. It makes you fearful to look, because even Paul said in the Bible, in my flesh, there's no good thing. In me, that is in my flesh, is no good thing. What would somebody do if he believed that there's no good thing within himself? He wouldn't look. So this is the work of the ego, to keep you from looking at yourself and looking at the special love relationship, which really is only a soul tie, and it's destructive because you can't break it. You feel empty, you feel alone, you feel vulnerable. The dynamics of the relationship has to be changed. You're not going to change it by running from the relationship. You're not going to change it that way, because you're going to take that emptiness with you and then try to fill it with others. Not going to work, because they don't belong there. That space belongs to that person or healed. You got to heal it, or that individual has to come in a love relationship, the reality of love. So when you heal it, you become complete, and then the person fits with us better. And this happens on a group level too. I'm not just talking about 2 or 3 individuals. I'm talking about when you do it and when I do it, then we as a people will do it, and we as a people will know how to love each other and support each other and hold up each other. Let me continue. We're going to talk about how to break it, how to break the soul tie. In A Course in Miracles, there's a section about principles of miracles. And like I said, Jesus studied A Course in Miracles. It wasn't called A Course in Miracles, obviously, but he took the same course. Everyone has to take this course. Every son of God. And again, I want you to tune in Sunday. I'm going to do a program on the manifestations of the sons of God. But In A Course in Miracles, it says that everyone is entitled, everyone has a right to miracles. And the miracle is the healing of the soul tie. But notice it says purification is necessary first. It says miracles are habits and should be involuntary. They should not be under conscious control. Consciously selected miracles can be misguided. Miracles are healing because they supply, listen, a lack. They are performed by those who temporarily have more for those who temporarily has less. They are kind of an exchange, and they are love. And all manifestations of love, no matter how small, buckle your seatbelt, because I know some of y'all think that some people can't love. All manifestations of love are maximal. Meaning there's no hierarchy in love. Love is love. And all manifestations, all expressions of love are maximal. Meaning the molecule of love or the atom of love has the same power as the molecule of love, has the same power as the organ of love, has the same power. All expressions of love are maximal. Oh, y'all getting taught tonight. If you understand this scientific fact, that all expressions of love are maximal, you will learn the art of zeroing in on the love part of an expression and maximizing that love part to grow the love, rather than looking at the love, looking at the hate, looking at the love. Maximize the love. This is how you break the soul tie, by maximizing love. Let me move on. I hope that helped you to understand where we're going with this. We're talking about how to break the soul tie love. The first scientific principle is to maximize, focus in on what you want. To him that has shall be given, from him that has not shall be taken. Therefore, you maximize love because all expressions of love are maximal. They all have the same power, no matter how small, no matter how big they are. But if you don't maximize the love by you paying attention to the love, you will not get the maximal experience out of the love relationship. And you will not be able to snap the soul tie. So even the slightest expression of love, make it a big deal, and you'll get more of it. The slightest expression of hate, minimize it, and you'll get less of it. And the lightning will shine from the east all the way to the west. In other words, your mind, when a mind is filled with light, it sees only light. And it reaches into other minds and brighten their minds by giving this light. See, you're the light of the world, but if you hide your light under a bushel, the world can't see it. See, I'm putting some meat on these bones. I'm making them scriptures come to life for you. Your mind and the blocks that's in your mind are the bushel. And if you take the bushel and cover the love, the small expression of love, which is the light, then you are hiding it. You are the light of the world. This principle functions on all levels and in all dimensions. So now I want you to maximize all expressions. I got a friend who has a son. It's a woman. I'm going to be finishing about 10, give me 10 or 15 more minutes. She has a son. And I watch her very closely because I work with a lot of boys. That's my ministry. And I noticed that she does not expose her son to her father, to his father. And he's not a bad guy. He just maybe not doing everything that she thinks he ought to do. But you can see that he loves his son to the best of his knowledge or ability. And remember, I said all expressions of love are maximal. So it doesn't matter what he does. She finds fault in it. And I got enough courage one day to say to her, sister, you are finding fault in this boy's father and not recognizing that that father is in that child. And you're finding fault in your son. He ain't nothing like that nigga. I said, he everything like that nigga. And obviously, I lost a friend. Because I called her son a nigga. She don't know she the one called him that. Because he came from him. Now, she's like this. He's like her little boyfriend. Everything she does, she includes him in it. Never a man around, never a man interacting. This boy is going to grow up depending on women to supply everything. You can't escape it. I said all of that to say that these special love relationships, these soul ties, and she's trying to find somebody to fit in his life, and it's not happening because she doesn't realize that she keep on picking the same man over and over, the same man just like the father of the child, because she's trying to fill that space, and that space belongs to him, and it doesn't matter what I say. I'm not a psychologist as far as she's concerned, that, I don't care how many boys you working with. He ain't no good. I don't want my son around him. Despite the fact that he's showing the little love he knows how to show. She doesn't maximize it. She minimized the love and maximized the soul tie. And as a result, she goes from man to man to man, looking to fill that empty space that belongs to that man. She got to heal it. She got to close it up, heal it. You can't get another brother to replace it. You can't get another sister to replace it. I got a brother like that too, by the way. So if you recognize the love relationship, and that the only block to love, the only reason we're not experiencing love among ourselves is because we all are walking around with these blocks. They are all blocks to love, brothers and sisters. I'm sorry, preacher. Them women sitting up in your church got a whole bunch of blocks to love. I'm sorry, brother. You got a whole bunch of blocks to love, and it's manifesting among us. The can got opened, like I said earlier, by T.D. Jakes and Kevin Samuels. They just opened it up, and we saw it clearly. The women were dancing around Kevin Samuels' grave. The men were cheering when T.D. Jakes finally got enough nerve to tell the truth. But we are not healed as a people. None of us. That includes me. That includes my boys. That includes your children. None of us are healed. Until we look at it and admit that we don't want the love of the soul tie. Now, one last point on that, and I'll wrap it up. In every relationship, I want to stand up, but I can't. In every relationship, brothers and sisters, it doesn't matter what you think. He did this. She did that. I'm sorry. It ain't true. Whatever relationship you have had, some of y'all gonna make excuses and say he did this and he did that, but I want you to elevate for just a moment long enough to see God. There was you in the relationship and something in you, brother. Where my camera at? Something in you related to a diabolical feature that was in that woman. That insanity that was in that woman is in you. And that's the reason the experience occurred. When I was in college, we were on the campus of the University of California, Irvine. I was married, and I only had Taurus at the time, my 22-year-old. I was married to a woman who was very argumentative and violent and worked against me, it seemed. So it seemed. One particular day, I had gotten a fresh haircut. She was just on the nut that day, just arguing and crazy and this, that, and the other. I hadn't studied the Course in Miracles at the time. I had just gotten a fresh haircut. I was looking fly. I was looking good, ladies and gentlemen. I was looking so good, I wanted to kiss me. That's how good I was. I was the bomb. I had this nice shirt on, and it just made me look good. She was arguing at me that night. And I was coming down. We was living in graduate housing. We had a 2-story apartment. And I was coming down the stairs. I was just tired. I'm getting out of this house and I'm going somewhere. I got dressed up. I'm looking all good and fly and everything, and got money in my pocket and everything. I'm coming down the stairs, and I'm looking at her standing at the bottom of the stairs, and that neck was on a swivel, and she was cussing and calling me all these MFs and SOBs and this, that, and the other. And I'm standing at the top of the stairs, just shaking my head. I'm saying, ugh, that is an ugly woman. The Holy Spirit spoke to my heart and said these words. That's how you look. And you is how she look. Do you see this? I said that's one ugly woman, and God said, no, baby, that's you. That's you right there. That ugly person is you. And you is what she looks like right now. I turned around. I couldn't get up them stairs fast enough, and I ripped out of them clothes, and I said, God, help me, because it was so real to me. The understanding that I was projecting this onto this woman. I was projecting this ugliness onto this woman, and God said, no, baby, that ugliness is you. And all this prettiness, you think you pretty, you looking good. That's how she looks. Scared the hell out of me. Yes, it scared the hell out of me, because I ran back up them stairs and I tried to get that hell off of me. So now, the understanding, the point I was making is that what you see is in you. And so it's an easy thing because it's power. It gives you the power to release it and to see who you really are. These thoughts, this soul tie, these thinking of lack, a feeling of lack, and not having the love that you feel like you deserve, you're not getting it because the blocks that you have is preventing you from seeing it. So now we're going to give you an exercise. You got to do an assignment. As soon as I get off of this program tonight, I'm going to go both to the YouTube broadcast as well as Facebook. And I'm going to put a 18-minute meditation on breaking soul ties. It is going to take you into yourself to help you to look inwardly, identify the soul tie, and release it. And you're going to come out of this meditation free of that soul tie. Because I had to go out of town today, and because I got back late, I didn't have enough time before I started the program to put the link on there. So you're going to have to go to my Facebook page and click on that link and do that meditation. I promise you, if you do this meditation, brothers and sisters, that soul tie and all of them that you have will be broken. And when you break the soul tie, when you break that destructive tie that you have with a thought, because it's not really with a person, it's with a thought, the scales are going to be removed from your eyes and you're going to be able to see love. I'm Dr. Fleming. Go to my Facebook page and get the meditation. I'm going to post it right after we end this broadcast. I am out of here. Make sure you listen in on Sunday, because Sunday we're going to be talking about the sons of God, manifesting the sons of God. And this is going to be a powerful, powerful lesson. I'm gone. Good night.